You ever have one of those days where you just get to feel all the feels? Last week I had one and it was truly magical. I want to take you into the Wayback Machine to late fall, early winter of this year. And my older daughter Mia came to me and said she has kind of been missing the competition of sports. And there was something she really wanted to try and challenge herself with, but she needed some help. And as much of an athlete as Mia was growing up, and I guess still is since she's only 22, she always hated to run. For her, running was some combination of conditioning and punishment, and those two things typically kind of meant the same thing to her. So she wanted to take on a challenge and overcome an obstacle that she had always had. And she came to me and said, "Dad, I think I want to run a half marathon." And I was like, hang on a second. It sounded like you said you think you wanted to run a half marathon. All I've heard for the last 22 years is how much you can't stand to run. Sprints are fine, short distances, bursts, okay, good. But long distance, no way, no thank you, no how, no sir. And she said, yeah, I want to do it because I want to challenge myself and I want to prove something to myself. And oh, by the way, I've really been missing Louie lately, and I want to raise money for the Glioblastoma Foundation. Our cousin Louie and our dear friend Bridget both passed over the last several years from glioblastoma, an incredibly horrifying kind of brain cancer. So what Mia said was, I want to overcome this obstacle. I want to take on this challenge, but I want to make it purposeful. So I want to train and I want to raise money. And will you do it with me? And I mean, as quickly as the words got out of her mouth, the answer, yes, my goodness, yes, of course, yes, came out of mine. And we trained all winter. And here in the Northeast, this winter has been brutal. And I was just so incredibly proud of Mia because she lives in New York, and Jamie and I made clear to her in no uncertain terms she was not to run at night by herself. So she was getting up at 5 o'clock in the morning and going for long runs to make sure her body was ready. She would get on treadmills, or as she and I call it, and many call it the dreadmill, because it's just so mind-numbingly boring to not move while you're running. And the training process was much easier for me. I have way more flexibility in my job. I travel and have had the opportunity to run in places like Lafayette, California, and in San Diego, and in Dallas, and in other places where the weather was much more temperate. But Mia was grinding, man. 3-4 days a week, whatever the training schedule said. She was up and she was at it with this purpose in mind. And then last weekend we got to race day and the weather was perfect. It was between 32 or 33 degrees and 40 degrees. There was not a cloud in the sky. There was no wind. It was sunny. And it was just such an inspirational experience. And we got to the corral where we would start the run. I said to Mia for like the 50th time I had said during the course of our training, do you want me to run with you? And just as she had said in the previous 49 times, she said no. I know you're faster than I am. I don't want to slow you down, she said. And I don't want to feel any external pressure to run faster than I can. I want to experience this run the right way. So we ran the first mile together, and after that, she was like, all right, old man, go. Be gone. Run your run. I'm going to run my run. And it was wonderful. These kinds of events are so inspirational. And they're so exciting. There's people throughout the course cheering you on. You're getting water and they're yelling for you, and you're making friends with people while you're running. And there was one moment in the run where we were about 2/3 of the way through it, and the people coming out were going one way and the people going in were going the other. And I happened to pass Mia. And about 30 yards before I passed her, I saw her in her blue leggings and her black shirt. And I literally started jumping up and down, screaming and yelling, let's go, Mia, let's go, Mia. Got a high five. No stopping. But it got me more energized and got me more excited. And once I finished the run, I wanted to see my baby girl. So I kind of sprinted as quickly as I could back to mile 12 and then finished that last mile with her. And when I got to mile 12 and I kind of put my arm around her, she started tearing up because that's what Mia does. And then as we got about 100 yards from the finish line, when there were hundreds of people on each side of the course cheering everybody on and screaming for everybody, Mia started tearing up again. And throughout the race, other than the inspiration that I felt and the love that I had in my heart and the pride I felt for Mia and about Mia, I was thinking about how important it is for all of us to have these kinds of interests or hobbies or ways to clear our mind outside of work, and how crucial it is for us as leaders to facilitate among our employees their ability to pursue these outside interests. How absolutely fundamentally important it is for us as leaders to encourage our employees to find those things outside of work that are meaningful and are purposeful for them so that they can be their best, their most authentic, sort of the most holistic version of themselves. And you've heard me so many times on these videos or in this podcast talk about the importance of leaders humanizing themselves, of sharing interests, of talking about things that they do outside of work. And it's not just about listening in a circumstance like that, but really engaging with the employee about what they do for enjoyment, for fun, outside of work. And again, we have to facilitate employees feeling like not only they can, but they kind of should and must. And this encouragement is so important for a number of reasons. And the first is the psychological safety and the trust of our employees. When we show interest and we talk to our employees about how important it is to do things outside of work, what that engenders is a feeling in our employees that they need to be protective of their own time. And it is such a powerful message of trust and respect when we make clear to those who report to us, to those who work for us, that we understand that you have to do those things outside of work. Is the job important? Sure, but just as important is maintaining that balance, is encouraging that psychological safety, that trust. It shows that you value your employees as a human and not just as the output that they produce. It leads to trust. And with that trust will lead to prudent risk-taking, will enhance creativity, which is the second reason this is so important. And it is that enhancement of creativity and problem solving. When we engage in outside activities, when we spend time with people and in circumstances that are different than those with whom we spend that time and enjoy those circumstances at work, we are exposed to different ways of thinking. We build new skills, skills like collaboration, like adaptability, like improvisation. We are exposed to new perspectives. And what happens is unconsciously, we then bring those new perspectives, those new techniques to work. Third, we really need to model boundaries. We want to share and really exemplify behaviors that make clear that while work is important, again, just as important are these things that we do outside of the walls in which we work. And I try and do as good a job as I can at this while I am working as somebody who is a leader. And I share with colleagues, I share with those people who report to me all of the things that I do outside of work and why they're important, whether it's spending time with my family, whether it's coaching softball, whether it's running. And what that demonstrates, I hope, to others is that these interests that I have are crucially important, fundamentally, to creating the person that I am. implicitly, when you talk about these behaviors, when you model these boundaries, implicitly what you're doing is you're giving permission to others within your workplace to do the same. Fourth, it improves culture. We are in an incredibly competitive market, and the biggest differentiator that I see day in and day out is the culture inside of your organization, inside of your workplace. We want to make clear that we do, and not just by saying it, again, by modeling it. We do really value and respect work-life balance. We want to encourage you to pursue those things that will create as great a sense of personal fulfillment as possible. And finally, the business case for this kind of conduct, for encouraging people to engage in and to search out outside interests. The business case is just so clear, because when we create this feeling of psychological safety and trust, when we enhance an employee's ability to be innovative and creative, when we as leaders model these boundaries and make clear in no uncertain terms to our employees that it's crucial that they do those things outside of work, when we improve the workplace culture by demonstrating the importance of work-life balance, we will enhance retention. And we all understand the word on the street is real, and people talk. And we will really significantly increase our ability to recruit the caliber of talent that we want to recruit. And when we enhance retention and when we improve the ability to recruit star talent, when employees feel happier and healthier and safer, they will be more productive, which of course will lead to the profitability that we are all seeking. So, and I hope this is not the case if you don't want to do it for the right reasons, the psychological safety, the enhancement of creativity and innovation, the modeling boundaries, do it for the business reason, because engaging in all of these behaviors absolutely will increase productivity, will enhance profitability. Last week I had one of those days. Felt every feel I possibly could have felt. Just had such immense pride in my older daughter for not just overcoming something that she had been trying to overcome for years, but raising a hell of a lot of money for an incredibly important cause along the way. But it also showed me very clearly, she works for an organization, I work for an organization that take very seriously and really impress upon their employees the importance of doing things outside of work that are going to make a difference in your life. And in this case, in the life of many, many other people. Thanks so much, friends, as always, for watching. Thanks so much for commenting and for sharing. Hope to see you real soon.